All praises to Yahweh. Want to thank Yah for the Holy Spirit. Shout out to the 12 tribes that scattered across the four corners of the globe. To you I say Shalom. This is Matthew 24, verse 24, in a Bible paraphrase. As Yahushua was leaving the temple ground, his disciples came along and wanted to take him on a tour of the various temple buildings. Verse 2, but he told them, all these buildings will be knocked down, with not one stone left on top of another. Verse 3, when will all this happen? The disciples, Verse 3, when will all this happen? The disciples asked him later. And he sat on the slope of the Mount Olives. What event will signal your return and the end of the world? Verse 4, Yahushua told them, don't let anyone fool you. Verse 5, for many will come claiming to be the Messiah and will lead many astray. Verse 6, when you hear of wars beginning, this does not signal my return. These must come, but the end is not yet. Verse 7, the nations and kingdoms of the earth will rise against each other, and there will be famines and earthquakes in many places. Verse 8, but all this will be only the beginning of the horrors to come. Verse 9, then you will be tortured and killed and hated all over the world because of mine. Because you are mine. Verse 10, and many of you shall fall back into sin and betray and hate each other. Verse 11, and many false prophets will appear and lead many astray. Verse 12, sin will be rampant everywhere and will cool the love of many. Verse 13, but those who endure to the end shall be saved. Verse 14, and the good news about the kingdom will be preached throughout the whole world, so that all nations will hear it, and then finally the end will come. Verse 15, so when you see these horrible things told by Daniel the prophet, stand in a holy place. Note to the reader, you know what it meant. Verse 16, then those in Judah must flee into Judean hills. Verse 17, those on their porches must even go inside to pack before they leave. Verse 18, those in the field should not return to their homes for their clothes. Verse 19, and woe to pregnant women and to those with babies in those days. Verse 20, and pray that your flight will not be in winter or on the Shabbat. Verse 21, for there will be persecution such as the world has never seen before in all its history and will never see again. Verse 22, in fact, unless those days are shortened, all mankind will perish, but they will be shortened for the sake of Yah's chosen people. Verse 23, then if anyone tells you the Messiah has arrived at such a place or has appeared here or there, don't believe it. Verse 24, for false messiahs shall rise again. Verse 24, for my lips dry. Verse 24, for false messiahs shall rise, and false prophets, and will do wondrous miracles, so that it were possible even Yah chosen people, ones would be deceived. Verse 25, see, I have warned you. Verse 26, so if someone tells you the Messiah has returned and is out in the desert, don't go bothering to look, or that he is hiding at a certain place, don't believe it. Verse 27, for as the lightning flash across the sky from east to west, so shall my coming be when I, the Messiah, return. And whenever the carcass is, there the vultures will gather. 29. Immediately after the prosecution of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give light, and the stars will seem to fall from the heavens, and the powers overshadowing the earth will be convulsed. Verse 30. And then at last the signal of my coming will appear in the heavens, and there will be deep mourning all around the earth, and the nations of the world will see me arrive in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. Verse 31. And I shall send forth my angels with the sound of a mighty trumpet blast, and they shall gather my chosen ones from the farthest end of the earth and heavens. Verse 32. Now learn a lesson from the fig tree. When the branches is tender and the leaves begin to sprout, you know that summer is almost here. Verse 33. Just so, when you see all these things beginning to happen, you can know that my return is near, even at the door. Verse 34. At the last, this age will come to its close. Verse 35. Heaven and earth will disappear, but my word will remain forever. Verse 36. But no one knows the date and hour when the end will be, not even the angels, nor even nor even Yah's son. Only the Father knows. Verse 37 and 38. The world would be at ease, banquets and parties and weddings, just it was in Noah's time, before the sudden coming of the flood. Verse 39. People wouldn't believe what was going to happen until the flood actually arrived and took them all away. So shall my coming be. Verse 40. 2 men will be working together in a field, and one will be taken, the other left. Verse 41. 2 women will be going about their household task. One will be taken, the other left. Verse 42. So be prepared, for you don't know what day your Yah is coming. Verse 43. Just as a man can prevent trouble from thieves by keeping watch for them. Verse 44. So you can avoid trouble by always being ready for my unannounced return. Verse 45. Are you a wise and faithful servant of Yah? Have I given you the task of managing my household to feed my children day by day? Verse 46. Blessings on you if I return and find you faithfully doing your work. Verse 47. I will put such faithful ones in charge of everything I own. Verse 48. But if you are evil and say to yourself, my Yahweh won't be coming for a while, and beginning oppressing your fellow servants, partying and getting drunk. Verse 50. Your Yahweh will arrive unannounced and unexpectedly, and severely whip you and send you off to judgment of the hypocrites. There would be weeping and gnashing of teeth. With that, I pray to Yahweh that this reading will edify in some in their lessons. With that, I say Shalom.